nervous, on the surface I look fine. My brain feels heavy, my traumatized mind. And I'm so tired, I can't feel my eyes. Whoa, whoa. I'm petty, but I know how to lie. I feel feelings that I can't describe. I'm not breathing, but I'm still alive. Whoa, whoa.
Shout out to Neoliberal Tears for this.
Shout out to Twitter/X user Neoliberal Tears for resurfacing this clip.
Neoliberal Tears commented at the top of the show, "What happened to my music?" One of my favorite commenters.
Yeah, big
Somebody
fan.
has so much affection for me.
Keep it in mind.
I'ma give it everything I got.
Prepare for a holiday season of Neoliberal Tears.
Hello, hi, it's so good to see you. I'm Neoliberal Tears, and welcome to Nightcap with me. It's me, Neoliberal Tears. And today we have another Zionist to cover. I know, there are so many of them, but I have to talk about it. Because friend of the show, actual friend of the show, I know I always say that. But people I hate, but this time I mean it. Friend of the show, Katie Halper, had Congressmember Khanna on tonight, actually, I believe. It's very recent, fresh off the presses. And I, I'm actually, I think I've disclosed this before, so full disclosure. I'm friendly with Katie. We exchange messages every now and then, so we do know each other. So now you know, now I know that you know, and we all know. But watching this interview, I did get angry. Not at Katie, at fucking Khanna. Because even though he went to the West Bank a couple weeks ago, he tried to make it a media opportunity for himself to push himself to run for president. Every poll that comes out shows Khanna at 1%, sometimes 0.5%, never above 1%. And that's why he gives independent media and other outlets that usually Congress members avoid airtime, even broken points. He loves going on broken points. I'm pretty sure he's also a media whore. He loves the camera. I think I said that if you have a camera in your house and a ring light, you should watch out because Khanna is gonna try to visit you. He's that desperate for attention. Don't say I didn't tell you so. He might show up. I don't mean to frighten you. And also, I'll share an article here from our favorite tabloid, Politico, that talks about 2028. Look at me already. Look at me already trying to relitigate the past. And we have Kime here, bestie of the show. Kime, how's your night going? Are you excited to listen to Khanna lie to us? Tell us sweet, sweet little lies? I love that song. So I did get irritated by this interview because I think it shows again how resilient or resistant the Democratic Party is to any sort of change or any kind of reconfiguring, rethinking of whether they should support Zionism, even if just for selfish, cynical, political reasons. They're not giving up. So you're going to learn from this interview that Khanna is still against an arms embargo, is still a fucking two-stater, still a Zionist, and still thinks that the international right to resist and a right in international law designed to advocate for oppressed groups all over the world, Khanna does not believe that. He still supports Israel buying Iron Dome materials. He just doesn't support giving aid for them to buy the Iron Dome material, but he supports them buying it. Very frustrating. Very frustrating. I think because he is such a transparent piece of shit, right? He is very cynically trying to appeal to Katie's audience, the left, independent, anti-establishment, whatever you call it, audience. But he still refuses to give us anything other than bullshit Zionism, the same Zionism we've had to hear politicians advocate for 80 years. So I want you to be frustrated with me while we listen to this. Let's do it. Let's just rip off the Band-Aid. Let's just get it over with. But Khanna, before I begin, I just want to tell you, in case you haven't figured it out yet, you will never be president. Ever. 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 No one in the pro-Palestine community is ever voting for your lying, Zionist, J Street-sponsored ass. I wish you the worst. I almost forgot to mention, he was Biden's 2024 campaign co-chair. He was a Biden Genocide Joe surrogate throughout 2024. While Biden was committing a genocide, Khanna, the media whore, was doing interviews talking about how Joe Biden is so fucking amazing. He wouldn't call it a genocide until after Biden after Biden dropped out, and all of a sudden it became the political move. You pathological liar. I don't care how good your friendship is with Ryan Grimm, you are never, ever, ever going to be president. You're never going to be a senator either. Enjoy this House seat while you have it for the next 2 years before DSA primaries you, which they will. From Bestie of the Show, Seeking Truth in Canines, Axios has Kamala, AOC, and Newsom as the top 3 presidential contenders. I know, we have such a great selection of shit to pick from. Gosh. You know, there was a moment after the big 2024 loss when, for 24 hours, Democratic strategists were pretending to do some rethinking on where things went wrong and what can we do better. It didn't last. But I actually thought some of them might learn from this defeat and cynically try to push Congressman Rashida Tlaib for either Senate or President to sort of recapture the voters that they lost, pro-Palestine voters, who they have zero credibility left over with. But no, Democrats are resiliently resisting any form of change or, anything that might make them rethink or reassess. Not happening. So here's Roe explaining why he doesn't support an arms embargo, why he's still a Zionist, but why he really wants your vote. God, what a garbage piece of shit. Oh, let's do it. Let's do it together.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to be on.
Thank you. Yes, and I appreciate your time because we know how busy you are. And we have a lot to cover in the next 15 minutes. So we have the political earthquake this week in Michigan, the Democratic primary, the underreported attempts to more closely integrate U.S. and Israeli intelligence mid bombing campaigns against Iran, and still in Gaza post ceasefire, along with your widely covered recent trip to the West Bank and the harassment and detaining that you face by Israeli settlers. So, Congressman Khanna, welcome to the show. That's your real intro.
Thank you.
So as the New York Times reported yesterday, there is a push to undertake, quote, a far more integrated defense and technology partnership built around legally mandated defense industrial cooperation between the two nations, speaking of Israel and the United States. Both the House and Senate have included such a proposal in the annual defense policy bill, laying the groundwork for melding Freudian slip, U.S. and Israeli defense and intelligence capabilities in profound ways that some critics find alarming, end quote. You are one of those critics, Ro, I imagine. What should people know about the development and what do you find alarming?
I was one of 3 people in the Armed Services Committee to oppose the Section 219. That would basically be an end run against the Leahy law in foreign sales. You now basically are saying that Israel and America can jointly produce all these weapons. So you don't even need Congress. Once there's a memorandum of understanding, if there's joint production, we are integrated with the Israeli military, and our elected officials lose the power to really change that. So we need to strip this out of the National Defense Authorization. When the American public wants us to do with less with Israel, only the United States Congress would say, let's do more. But this is a Netanyahu ruse to say, okay, we don't want the aid, but let's just have joint production on the weapons.
And what kind of increased integration is this? Because as many people have pointed out, they're already quite integrated. So what makes this new?
Well, this has a joint task force, joint commander on key technologies. Now, it starts out with a few $100 million, and some people are for it. Say, oh, this is not saying that we're going to all co-produce all the weapons, but it creates the framework, which then can be expanded on. And you could add almost every weapon system to it.
Right. Do you think that AIPAC, by the way, well, let me ask you this first. So switching gears, although it's related, Michigan, obviously this was shocking to some people, disturbing to some people, but there was that primary election of Abdul Sayed, despite being outspent by some accounts 11-1 by AIPAC and related pro-Israeli dark money PAC. So is this a bellwether race? And what do you think it's signaling about where voters are going and how it is being received? And how is it being received in Washington, D.C.?
It's a historic race. It changes the face of American leadership. First, it's a Muslim American who has won a statewide race in a swing state. Let's not underestimate that. That's giving people of minority faith, brown and black kids around America, the sense that they can do anything. And it's someone who won on an unabashedly progressive platform, no form.
So I'm very concerned about a Democratic Party rebrand. I don't mean to take away from Dr. Abdul Saeed's victory over so much money in outside spending, millions and millions of dollars from AIPAC, from the AI lobby, the crypto lobby, all of these corporate interest groups. I don't mean to take away anything from that. And especially it's a huge victory, as I said yesterday, and it's an extension of the uncommitted movement that has been able to mobilize voters against Genocide Joe, which Roe here, I was going to say a hoe, which the hoe here, Roe is a hoe, a media hoe, supported the entire time, throughout. He was his re-election campaign co-chair. But I think it's a victory for pro-Palestine voters, for the uncommitted movement, for people in Michigan who wanted to defeat AIPAC in the primary. I think that's all true. I am concerned that Zionists like this hoe, Khanna, Khanna, is that the nickname we want to go with? Let me know, guys. Kime, Seeking Truth, let me know. We might be onto something. Khanna here is endorsed this cycle by J Street. I'll show you. They're proud of it. They have him on their website as an endorsee. Khanna endorsed a leader, yeah, that's not true, of the House Progressive Congressional Caucus. Khanna represented the Silicon Valley, San Francisco Bay Area since 2016. And what does he have to show for it? Absolutely nothing. So I really take issue with people who talk all this shit about AIPAC while taking J Street money and endorsements. And we know J Street has a litmus test for who they endorse and who they do not. What's that litmus test? You have to support a two-state bullshit non-solution. Otherwise, you get unendorsed by J Street. We saw this with Congressmember Rashida Tlaib. They unendorsed her. Did Khanna say anything against that? Absolutely not. No. He wants their money. He wants their endorsement. So we have a situation here where Democrats aren't criticizing Zionism. They're criticizing AIPAC instead. AIPAC is the designated villain of the election cycle for now. If you're a Democrat running for re-election in the House or the Senate, you're allowed to go after AIPAC. You're not allowed to go against Zionism. At least if you're a piece of shit, immoral, racist, like Khanna. So I take issue with this. I take issue with this fake theatrics of being against AIPAC but not against Zionism. We are beyond triangulation bullshits from terrible liars like Khanna, like AOC, like Bernie fucking Sanders. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. But Roe blows so much smoke up his own ass. He really thinks, no, it doesn't matter that I don't support an arms embargo. It doesn't matter that I don't support one equal state from the river to the sea. It doesn't matter. Pro-Palestine voters are still going to vote for me because I went to the West Bank and I made a media circus out of it. I still don't support an arms embargo. But look at my face. Look at my face. Look at me. Triangulating what they want into bullshit. I really take issue with that. Because the Democratic Party does not deserve a rebrand. It deserves, at the very least, a complete overhaul. And by complete overhaul, I mean pieces of shit, genocide complicit supporting pieces of shit like Khanna, who, to be clear, supported the genocider in chief throughout 2024. Even when Democratic voters wanted nothing to do with Joe Biden, Khanna was there defending the genocider.
Foreign wars, no aid to Israel, Medicare for all, a willingness to tax billionaire wealth. And so this is showing that the progressives can win. I mean, the knock on progressives was always, can you win in swing states? Well, yes, we can. And the energy of the party is with us.
Right. Now, do you think, by the way, on a related note, that AIPAC should be forced to register under FAR, the Foreign Agents Registration Act?
I do not. I don't take any money from AIPAC, and AIPAC has attacked me, I think, more.
He does not. He does not. So he's fine with AIPAC staying the way it is. Not registering as a foreign agent, even though they're... I think all Zionist lobbies should register as foreign agents. But of course, he's endorsed by J Street. I'll keep saying it. I'll keep saying it because I hate fucking liars. Like one of the very good friends of the show, who can't stop lying to save his life. I mean, it's really something, right, Ryan? You can't help but lie. It's kind of like a Tourette's for you.
CEO.
It's just false,
But
false,
no,
false,
it's not false.
Okay. Welcome back to the show, Ryan, friend of the show. I'm so glad you could join us too. We'll hear from you very soon. Don't worry. Let's hear why Khanna thinks AIPAC should not register as a foreign agent.
More than any member of Congress. But my view is that these are American citizens who are advocating for a viewpoint that I strongly disagree with. I don't take any money for them, obviously. I banter with them.
He did take money from them previously.
I'll parry their blows all the time, but I still would meet with people in my district who I know they're American citizens, they're hardworking, they don't vote for me, but if they reach out, that's their right. That's a democracy. And, you know, I go everywhere and talk to anyone in the pursuit of practicing democracy.
Okay. Well, because we don't have as much time as we had wanted to, I'm going to have to insert some clips later because you very bravely went on a fact-finding mission last month to the...
Yeah, no. It wasn't brave. to go to the West Bank and come out of it saying that still he doesn't support an arms embargo to protect the people currently under genocide. I think it's really a disservice to viewers to present it in those, to give politicians, especially genocide supporting politicians, genocide complicit politicians, politicians who supported the genocider in chief the entire time he was committing a genocide. I think it's a disservice to viewers, to pro-Palestine viewers, to voters, to call someone as criminal as Ro Khanna brave in any way. It's very disappointing. That entire interview, I mean, Katie is a friend. She wouldn't mind me saying this. We have an honest relationship, and this was a disappointing interview. And I think it's not that I think people should yell at politicians or act like Jeremy Scahill did. Like, I mean, that's not what I'm saying. I think I criticized Emma Vigeland for the same thing she did when AOC came to her studio. The impulse to try to act like these people are just friends coming into your living room, I think it ignores the context in which these people, especially, I'm not talking about people who were just elected, who don't have a record, right? Who ran on Palestine, who are making promises. Ro Khanna was there when the genocide started. He refused to sign the ceasefire resolution. He's one of the biggest stock traders in the House, inside traders. He's invested, and his family is invested. His children are invested in all of these weapons manufacturers while he sits on the Defense Committee. He's corrupt. He defended Genocide Joe throughout 2024. He volunteered to be a campaign surrogate for the genocider in chief. If you had family in Gaza or the West Bank who died under Biden, like Shireen Abu Akleh and her family, she died in 2022 under the Biden administration, or Eisenhower Agi. Ro Khanna has never, ever, ever said anything. I looked to see if he released a statement on Twitter about Shireen Abu Akleh or Eisenhower Agi. No, nothing. You know why? Because that happened under Biden's watch. And he was a Biden surrogate. And he didn't want to go against Biden world. He wanted to stay in their good graces. So I think this kind of impulse to try to be friendly with these people is repulsive to me. Imagine if you had family who died in this Gaza Holocaust. How would you talk to Ro? Would you tell him thank you for being so brave? For going to the West Bank and still not supporting an arms embargo? I have a real issue with this. Because if you're going to have politicians who supported a genocide, when your show is, for the most part, and I'm talking about the Majority Report too, this isn't just smoke for Katie. I told you I'm going to be honest. You have a responsibility to ask them uncomfortable questions. Direct questions, uncomfortable questions, because your job as a journalist is to give your viewers as much information, as much useful information as you can. You know what your viewers support. They support an arms embargo, they support anti-Zionism, one equal state from the river to the sea, and the right of return. So your job, if you're not going to get Ro Khanna on board with you, is to ask him why he doesn't support those things that we all do. that Congressmember Rashida Tlaib does. Not complimenting him. I hope I'm not being too harsh about this, but I had that criticism for Emma, and I have it here as well. The alternative is to just not have genocide complicit politicians on your show. If you're not able to bring yourself to a point of making yourself uncomfortable and asking them direct, uncomfortable questions that your viewers deserve to have the answers to, don't have him on. He's not coming on your show for altruistic reasons. He's not coming on your show because he likes you as a person. I can't believe I have to say this. He wants to run for president. He wants access to your audience. He's a cynical liar. He's not your friend. Let me read your guys' comments on here. From the right and left trousers, bestie of the show as well. Oh my God, I have all my VIPs here. Yay. What about democracy in Palestine? I know, Ro loves throwing around the word democracy. Except when it's about defending the ethno-supremacist state that keeps the stocks he owns in all of these defense companies and weapons manufacturers happy. Democracy, as we know, for politicians, it's like a virtue signaling term, like everything is. It's just something to say that has no real bearing or meaning on anything. Just sounds nice. From Seeking Truth in Canine, he doesn't take the money from keg standing Zionists, only from martini sipping Zionists. The martini Zionists. Yes. It really goes back to the point of the question I would have wanted my bestie friend of the show, Katie, to ask is straight up, why don't you think you said you're a Zionist? You told the Times of Israel a few months ago, not even last year, a few months ago, that you're a proud Zionist. Why are you a Zionist? And not try to help him, but just let him hang himself. Because there are no good answers to those kinds of questions. Why don't you support an arms embargo? You're not going to find secret logic to his bullshit answers. He's a liar. I really think this interview, with all due respect to my bestie, to my friend, was a disservice. I think Emma's interview with AOC was a huge disservice. And viewers let Emma know that it was a disservice. From Kime here, the misanthropy report. You're right. I'm so sorry. I misspoke. The misanthropy report. With Scam Cedar. I actually don't think Khanna even goes on the misanthropy report. I don't know why. Maybe it's the beef between AOC and Ro. We're gonna read about it. There's beef there. I'm sure you're surprised to know. Yeah, Zionists can have beef between each other as well. I know. It's like inter-Zionist fighting. Or intra-Zionist fighting. Anyway, let them fight each other. What was wrong with how, from Seeking Truth in K9, what was wrong with how Scahill questioned Ro? I don't think there was anything wrong with it. I think I see anyone who works with Ryan Grimm as sort of compromised. The interview was more confrontational than anything we've seen, and Roe on the independent media space. Of course, it's because Crystal and Roe have a previous relationship based on him having worked in the California legislature and her helping him in that capacity or knowing him from those days. It was adversarial. I just think that Jeremy really tried to narrow in on this point with Roe of why do you support the right for Israelis to resist but not for Palestinians to resist? Don't you know it's a right in international law? I mean, I'm glad he asked that question because it sort of put Roe on the defensive and he tried to come up with some bullshit answer about how he's for nonviolence because his grandfather met Gandhi once or whatever the fuck. And then Jeremy was saying, well, you're not for nonviolence for the genocidal apartheid state that you're a proud Zionist and supporting of. I think I'm more, well, a question that I think Roe, this is my real frustration, and this won't surprise you coming from me, that Roe has never been asked, why won't you support the Palestinian right to return? That's the crux of Zionism, is denying the right to return, because the right to return would overturn the quote-unquote Jewish demographic majority. And I think there are so many people who are pro-Palestine in the space who have had access to Roe and have never asked him that question. That's my disappointment. So it's not a personal thing against Jeremy per se. From Seeking Truth, intra, not enter. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let's play more of it.
Occupied West Bank, and you were stopped by Israeli settlers, and you were detained. And we're going to insert video of this happening and you talking about this. But around that same time, you did a very viral interview with Jeremy Scahill at.
I also just want to say, it sounds like Roe was scheduled to be on for like maybe half an hour or something along those lines. And then it was reduced, or he reduced it to 15 minutes. Which I think was a deliberate choice on his part. I think he really doesn't want Katie to go into those questions. So that's also schemy and nasty on his part.
Drop Site News.
No.
And you maintain that Israel should still have access to U.S. weapons, though limited to defensive weapons. And again, this caught the attention of a lot of people. So
Right.
I want to know, do you maintain your position that Israel should have legal access to U.S. weapons after and while they're committing what you've called a genocide?
Well, what I said is zero military sales that are weapons used to kill civilians. I'm a co-sponsor on the Stop the Bombs Act.
It's Block the Bombs. And that legislation, as we know, first of all, it was only introduced after Biden and Democrats and Kamala Harris lost the election. Democrats were out of power, and all of a sudden they feel this urgency now that they're out of power to come up with a messaging bill to help their members reestablish some credibility on Palestine, to show that they're against genocide. When the genocide was actually under Biden, they couldn't find the time to write this bill. Only after Kamala Harris lost, all of a sudden, they write the Block the Bombs Act, which halts certain offensive weapons, but not all offensive weapons. So it's not an arms embargo.
I supported all of Senator Sanders' amendments. But the question I was asked is, would you have a global arms embargo on Israel getting Iron Dome? And I said no, for two reasons. One, I don't think America should be enforcing it. Like, are we literally going to be stopping other countries from selling Israel Iron Dome? That's getting into a foreign entanglement. And secondly, there are Israeli lives there and American lives, 700,000.
I mean, I'm not gonna, if they want to buy the Iron Dome materials, I'm not gonna stop them. Yeah, he really cares about this genocide. Unbelievable.
Americans, and I'm for protecting civilian life, whether that is Palestinian, whether it's Indian, whether it's Jordanian, whether it's Israeli. But what I have clearly said is that I'm opposed to any military sales to kill civilians, and I'm opposed to all aid.
But I mean, I understand the defensive nature in theory of the Iron Dome, but you know, given that you yourself have said that they are committing a genocide, isn't, like, if you use an analogy, like a guy who is stabbing people, walking down the street, stabbing people, if we give that guy a shield, even if it's defensive, like, we are now complicit in his criminality, right? So isn't that what we would be doing? Selling the guy a shield to continue the analogy?
I believe that the Israeli government has committed a genocide, but that doesn't mean that the 700,000 Americans living there, or the Israeli civilians living there, including Israeli Arabs, should suffer death if their missiles launched there. And I also don't understand what the U.S. would do. And
So now he's using Palestinian citizens of the Zionist state as human shields to defend, letting the Zionist state have a bulletproof vest while they're committing genocide against Palestinians. Welcome to the chat, Fascism Watch. So good to see you. Oh my God, the whole group is here. You see, you guys are giving me something to smile about, because this boiled my blood. Boiled my blood. Because this now is kind of the time when we're supposed to see politicians at least pander to the left, pander to the things we care about. At this moment, you know, if you go back to 2020, all of these candidates, when they were running for president, they were promising the moon. Even Joe Biden to some extent. Elizabeth Warren was promising Medicare for all. She was promising a wealth tax. Bernie was promising a wealth tax. And what do we get here? We're promised Zionism and words. Word salad. Ryan, I think your friend has zero chance in hell to win if he runs. I don't think he's gonna ever poll above 2%. What do you think, Ryan? Is that accurate?
CEO.
This is false.
But
false,
no,
false,
it's not false.
I don't even know why I asked. I knew you were gonna say that. Your buddy Row. I bet you sit together at night, coordinate messaging, plotting together how to get him to a higher position. I almost didn't want to cover this because I don't want to give Khanna any more oxygen than he needs to be having. He is not making it anywhere. This is it for him. Just a sad, pathetic, ineffective Silicon Valley representing House member and death profiteer. But no one watches my channel anywho. So this is really just an opportunity for all of us to vent, to laugh, to chuckle at how little politicians are willing to offer pro-Palestine voters, anti-Zionist voters, who are apparently a lot smarter than skeevy, third-rate lawyers like Khanna.
In terms of, like, would we want to have American warships basically trying to block any missiles from coming into Israel? I mean, I don't think we should be going into wars over this. I think we should be pushing for a peace process, and we should be recognizing a Palestinian state. We should be stopping our aid. We should. Today, there was Yunnan Levy was indicted. His group is the one who detained me. We should be calling for extremist settlers to be arrested, destroying outposts. There are a lot of things that we can do that would, in my view, have an immediate impact on Palestinian lives.
Okay, but speaking of Palestinian lives, another thing that was very like controversial, or that you and Jeremy got into, was the right of Palestinians to self-defense and the right of Israel to self-defense. So obviously you see the Iron Dome, right, as a defensive measure. But, what about the right of Palestinians to resist an occupying military?
Well, what I said is we should recognize.
I don't know. I don't know why Katie here is asking the exact, literally rehashing the exact same discussion that Dropside had with Roe. They already asked him, why don't you support the right to resist? It's a right under international law. They showed the hypocrisy of Roe Khanna. Like, does Katie think he changed his mind? Is she trying to find out if he changed his mind? I'm only saying this because you're supposed to give people something, like you're supposed to draw out of these pathological liars new insights, new answers. You're supposed to maybe highlight where their hypocrisy lies, not rehash something that you already know their answers to. You know what I mean?
A Palestinian state and have a Palestinian state without Hamas and recognize a Palestinian state, which in West Bank there isn't one.
And look, he's saying here, he wants a quote unquote Palestinian Bantustan. We know what that means. Without Hamas, disarmed, without any weapons. This is where you should come in and ask, why not just support the right of return and equal rights from the river to the sea? What is making you against that proposition? Why don't you believe in equal rights? Instead of kind of just taking him at his word that he really gives a shit about a Palestinian state. He didn't say there should be a Palestinian state. He said we need to recognize a Palestinian state. There are countries that have recognized a Palestinian state for 20 years. It's nothing. It's lip service. It's bullshit. It doesn't actually mean that there is a Palestinian state. It means we recognize. We recognize. Maybe we'll have an embassy and a Bantustan. We recognize. And I can't emphasize this enough. This goes against what Palestinians themselves have been saying that they want. Equal BDS. Equal rights from the river to the sea. And the right of return. There is still so much hesitancy in the independent quote-unquote space to really challenge politicians, to try to force them to answer why don't they join Rashida Tlaib and Zoran Mamdani. To be fair, actually, Crystal, of all people, bestie, friend of the show, has probably done the best job on trying to get politicians grilled on that one crucial point. She did it with Adam Smith. She did it with the J Street lobbyist whose name does not matter and will never matter. Actually, I think it was the co-founder. But you see, Katie here is just hesitant to push back. And this is the moment where I think maybe it's not a good idea to have interviews with genocide complicit politicians who also happen to be death profiteers if you're nervous about pushing back. We've been through almost 4 years. 3 years. Sorry, time is just, it's becoming a little bit harder to tell how fast time is moving, but we've seen 3 years of this genocide that started under Democrats and Roe was there. His political director resigned because Roe refused to sign a ceasefire resolution. He does not deserve this kind of latitude and grace to just say bullshit and be taken at face value. From Fascism Watch here, he is protected against retribution or consequences. That's his only compass. From Fascism Watch, Katie, deal with the Mattei family. This could explain a lot. I criticized Daniel Maté about his silence on his daddy's friendship and business links with Deepak Chopra. He was mad as hell. Deepak Chopra, friend of Jeffrey and Oprah. I remember I only knew of Deepak Chopra because he was on the Oprah show, trying to I don't know, I think he was selling a meditation course or something. But I hear you about the Matés. I do not like the Matés. I am not a Maté stan. But that's a whole other kick and caboodle.
We'd have consular services, and then the Palestinian state would have the right of self-defense in accordance with international law, like any other state of the 193 countries we have. And that, to me, seems that Palestinians would have the same rights as Chinese, Indians, Americans. But what we first need to do is recognize a Palestinian state, which I think the next American president should.
So I hear that, but
what I'm frustrated by is that Khanna, with all of his access to Ryan Graham, to people on the left, even Crystal to some extent, with all of his familiarity with the leftist ecosystem, this is the best answer, the best pitch he could come up with for the pro-Palestine left before going on Katie's show. This is it. This is supposed to. Who is gonna vote for it? Who the fuck is gonna vote for this? Nobody. This is why I honestly thought to myself, I shouldn't say anything because I want him to lose. And I don't want to draw any more attention to him than I should. This is a losing strategy, a losing answer. I should encourage him to do exactly what he's doing. Ro, don't change anything. You're doing great, sweetie. You're doing amazing. You're doing so good. You're going to be president.
And I think, I think one state is obviously the ultimate goal, but I know that some people think two states to get there. And you may not think one state is the ultimate goal, but the thing is that a lot of people.
Yeah, that's. What is this? What was this just now? I kind of prefer one state, but I don't know if you support that. I'm not sure. I'm not going to ask. Some people think maybe two states first, and then it's going to be go. What are you talking about, Katie? Ask him. I support one equal state. The Palestinian Liberation Movement supports one equal state. Why don't you, Khanna? Instead, you could kind of hear from Katie's answer is it's almost like she was apologizing. And then she was saying, well, but maybe we can go with two states first, and then eventually, after 500 years, that's going to lead to one state. I'll be okay with that personally. Palestinians are asking for the right of return now. Not 50 years from now, eventually, through a peace process that eventually is going to get from two states to one state. She's already triangulating herself, it seems. And she didn't even ask him, do you support one equal state from the river to the sea? Missed opportunity. And also, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? More than 85% of the land from which Palestinians were expelled, that is now part of modern-day Israel, is uninhabited by anyone. They turned that land into parks, national parks, empty fields. It's uninhabited. Palestinians can return. Logistically speaking, they can return. They can return tomorrow if we had a process in place. It's not going to take 50 years. But you could hear Katie is almost kind of talking herself out of one equal state. She's like, well, I guess I'll settle for two states. There's a liberal impulse to always settle for whatever crumbs politicians are pretending to offer you, because you think, well, at least that something is better than nothing. And I think it's a disservice to the people who, again, as I'll keep saying, have lost family members in Gaza, in the West Bank. some of them American citizens who are fans, who are viewers of your show. They deserve for you to advocate for them on their behalf because they don't have access to the genocide supporting piece of shit politician you're currently interviewing. Guys, let me know. Am I being too hard here? Like, I mean, I'm really trying. I think there's a reluctance to kind of have these kinds of discussions, and because I don't have an audience of more than 10 people, I feel confident enough that I can sort of try to work through this. Katie doesn't watch this. I mean, I don't think so. Let me know if I'm being disrespectful. I really want to know because I really don't want to get into that territory. But I think this is not good. Politicians like Khanna, especially like Khanna, need to be asked clear, succinct, direct, to the point questions. And whether or not they come along with you is their choice to make. You're not supposed to like cuddle them, you know, pander to them in any way, try to help them. That's not your job. From the right and left trousers, Gandhi and MLK both demanded change in their societies ASAP. If Roe is really a standard bearer in their tradition, he's dragging his banner through the mud. Yeah, I think Roe here is talking about Gandhi and MLK. And although I think Seeking Truth, I think you have a view of Gandhi that's a lot more historically accurate, shall we say, about how, you know, whether he really was a revolutionary and who else was in the liberation movement at the time and what the philosophies were, because it wasn't just nonviolence. Gandhi was nonviolence, I think, almost 100% of the time, but there were other people, right? I forgot the name of the person you were referencing, but yeah, the way Roe talks about Martin Luther King and Gandhi is just cloud chasing. It's like the way Republicans talk about Martin Luther King to sort of pretend like he's on their team or whatever the fuck. It's a historically irresponsible way to talk about these figures. It's cloud chasing. From Kime here, I never got much into Daniel Mate. I tried to watch an episode of Bad Hasbara and didn't make it more than 10 to 15 minutes. Not to dish on any other YouTubers. I feel like I do that all the time. But I will say, Kime, that I had the exact same experience as you. Same. From Fascism Watch, yep. But the networks is bigger. Useful Idiots, Bad as Bara, Katie Halper Show, Habituation Room, Miriam Francois, etc., etc. The leftist network who defend leftist figures associated to the Epstein Rothschild Zionist network and who try to fog the links between the Epstein network and the Rothschild. Okay. I only work on leftist fraud almost. That's my specialty. Oh, interesting. We have a specialist in the house. Yeah, I don't really watch those shows with the exception of with Katie's show. I do make it because I don't watch a lot of stuff, but I do tune in every once in a while. From the right and left trousers, not gonna lie, I was into Bad Hasbara for a while, but I heard how they mistreated someone who challenged them about B'Tselem in their chat and stopped watching after that. Yeah, I think people in general, and something I noticed in the media space in general, not even just independent or left or right, whatever, they don't take criticism well at all. And I think that leads to sort of, I don't know if it's like a self-involved, like, you know, like people who are self-involved or really care about their whatever image. Like they're really resistant to any kind of criticism, and I think that's unhealthy. I guess my philosophy, or what I try to draw upon, is because there are in the YouTube space that's not political, like content creators who talk like just like shooting the shit, like I'm thinking of like I'm worried about saying their names, but like there are YouTube creators who never do political content, but who, when they have drama between each other, they go at it. Like they really don't hold back. Like they just say how they really feel. Sometimes they sue each other into defamation, like and then they lose, and then they make a clip about that. Like there's a level of honesty to some of these YouTubers. There's one, she's like, I think she's going through religious psychosis right now. I could be wrong, but her name is Gabby Hanna. She was great. She was really like one of those people who really like cultivated drama a lot at the time with other creators, but really not holding back. And there's something, I think, kind of almost in a weird way healthy about that, when you actually put how you really feel out there and let people react. So I'm gonna, but in the media space that we are in, the political one, there's a lot of like, no, I'm friends with David Sirota. I can't criticize David Sirota for being a Zionist. No, we can't criticize Ryan Grimm for calling Students for Justice in Palestine CIA agents. We can't criticize because he's Ryan Grimm. He's so rich and he's so connected, and we don't want to, we want to bring him along. We want to call him in, not call him out. So we're never going to criticize anybody. You really have only seen very few people willing to actually go there, and I think it's to the detriment of intellectualism to like, so anyway, I'll do it. I'll do it. All the Mateys do give off a self-involved aura. Oh my lord. Oh my god. Guys, don't get me in trouble with... Actually, please get me in trouble with the Mateys. I'm gonna make it like my whole personality. Just, I do... Listen, I have things to say. I don't really know, honestly, I don't really know the other... I'm thinking of Aaron. I don't like the guy. I'll tell you why. But, let's let Ro... He has 5 minutes left before he pretends to have to go to a meeting or something. Let's see if he has any more useful reasons for us as to why we should not be voting for him.
People don't seem to recognize that, and you can judge this as good or bad morally, but in terms of like legality, so you have the UN General Assembly Resolution 3743 and other resolutions which affirms, quote, the legitimacy of the struggle of peoples for independence, territorial integrity, national unity, and liberation from colonial and foreign domination and foreign occupation by all available means, including armed struggle. Now, I want to point out, as long as they follow international humanitarian law. So, in other words, they can't, in the name of fighting the occupying power, kill civilians, right? But they are allowed in international humanitarian law to kill soldiers. So, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, do you recognize this reality, but just think it's not wise to pursue it, or did you know about this?
Well, I leave the international law for international law scholars. What I'm talking about is how we get to a just peace. And in my view, we should, the most effective resistance is nonviolent, and that's what a lot of the Palestinians are engaged in. But the most impactful is for an American administration to recognize a Palestinian state, to stop the aid to Israel, to stop military cells killing civilians, and then that Palestinian state would have the right to engage in self-defense in accordance with international law. And that, to me, is really the directive of people who are leading the country here in America. I let the legal scholars figure out the international law.
And what about BDS, boycott, divest, and sanction? Because a lot of people say, okay, they're not allowed to do nonviolent. I mean, they're not allowed to engage in armed resistance, even if it is actually protected by international humanitarian law. So what do you think of BDS, the boycott, divest, sanction movement, which obviously is nonviolent?
Oh, there should obviously be sanctions on the settlements, on government
I think, you know what, I'll just let it play.
officials advocating for settlements, on the banking and construction that is financing those settlements. And those are all things that an American administration can do. I also believe that there should be clear protections of free speech. And so someone engaged in BDS shouldn't be deported, and they shouldn't be arrested. They shouldn't lose their jobs over their speech. And there should be protections for speech.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I guess I just don't get.
No, Katie, he literally just said he doesn't support BDS. He supports certain sanctions on certain settlements, but no, BDS is about boycotting the Zionist state, which he does not support. And I gotta say, not supporting BDS in 2026, maybe this is a question. I remember an interview Rashida Tlaib gave about supporting BDS in 2018. We're 8 years later, and we're still at the point when we're asking politicians very politely, after the genocide in Gaza, do you support BDS? Why or why not? Are we moving backwards in the discourse? Like, what is happening? What is this? This isn't 8 years ago. Do you support BDS or not? Are we still gonna ask Khanna the same question 20 years from now? Why do you support BDS or do you not support BDS? Why don't you support BDS? Come on. What are we doing here? From Fascism Watch here. So they agree, disagree, agree, disagree. Liberation soon, I guess. You know, I think maybe it's because Katie is such a lovable individual. She's a great person. She's a, she's a lovable individual. Maybe she's really trying hard to find common ground here, but this is actually not the kind of person you should be sort of, act so desperate to bring along to where you are. There's a clear moral line, moral divide. And again, if you don't really know why I'm saying what I'm saying, imagine you had all of your relatives killed, murdered in the Gaza Holocaust or in the West Bank. And Ro Khanna, a politician from the United States who supported Genocide Joe to the very end, still doesn't support an arms embargo. Imagine, put yourself in those shoes and imagine how you'd feel and ask him a question from that place. That's what I would suggest. From the right and left trousers. Well, Katie, I check off D every time I head to the ballot box. And we're all full of we're all full of bullshit. So I think we already have enough BDS going around already. Oh my god, BS with a D in the middle. Oh my god, that's really funny. Well, I support the D, but not the S, but I do support the BS, which is what I'm giving you right now. Like, because this is the thing about snake oil salesmen. I still don't know what a snake oil is, but they'll try to triangulate you to death while pretending that they agree with you. I know I've had politicians do that to my face when I ask them hard questions, but you can't just be like, oh yeah, like so desperate to get along that you're like, oh yeah. No. From the right and left trousers, you can tell Rose's bladder is about to explode in this still frame. Oh my god, maybe that's what's going on. Maybe that's why he's giving like really short answers. Maybe that's why he had to leave after 15 minutes. He hasn't peed all day. You know what? Good. I hope he gets kidney stones from all of this. He deserves much worse. Fuck you, Ro. I mean, now I'm looking at his eyes, trying to suss out if he really needs to pee, or if that's part of the context. I mean, there's nothing worse than that feeling of when you really, really need to pee and you know you can't because you're in the middle of You know, you're away from your house, you're not close to a bathroom. You have to try to hold it in. You have to like distract yourself, move your legs, start walking. Horrible feeling. I wish Ro that feeling. Forevermore. Forevermore. That would actually be a really funny way for Katie. Maybe she can like torture him, like, you know, in the sense of like just like dragging the interview over and over, even though he's like shaking. Make him pee himself on camera. There we go. From Fascism Watch, definitely he doesn't have a tube like Trump and a pouch on the leg. Oh my god. Wait, does Trump have a tube like to urinate? Is that or a pouch or one of those sacks that the one of those what do you call it? Those bags that they have for people who are too old to like pee on their own. I think Ro is maybe in that getting close to that age range. His eyes are something on that still. From the right and left trousers, she can use liquidy words to torture him a bit more. Oh my god, that's so true. That would be really fun. You know, what's the do you love swimming? What's your favorite moist snack to eat? I know people hate that word. Do you what's your favorite drink? You know, is there do you have a bill for water conservation? What do you think about leaks? You know, just in general. I love this. I love imagining that Ro is actually the entire time just dying to pee. Oh my god. Oh my god. I've been there, Ro. We've all been there.
Why you think that what
Oh my god. From the right and left trousers here. From the river to the sea. Oh my god. Oh my god, that's so perfect. That's so perfect. God. I love you guys.
why Israel should have the right to respond to Hamas attacks, but Hamas doesn't have the right to respond to Israel's attacks.
Okay, hold on. Another one from Fascism Watch. Comment on the Freedom Flotilla, Ro. They're setting sail in the open seas. How do you feel about that? Would you have liked to join them? At the sea?
Well, Hamas is a terrorist organization that massacred people on October 7th. And, you know, I have would never ever justify what Hamas did. And I think they're not constructive to a Palestinian people. And I believe that what an American president should do is recognize a Palestinian state without Hamas and work towards giving Palestinians a voice. And that Palestinian state, I believe, would have the right to self-defense in accordance with international law. And I've called for the Netanyahu to be arrested along with Putin in terms of his violation of the ICC and committing a genocide in Gaza. So it's not like I give the Israeli government a pass for what they've done. I'm saying that they need to be arrested and held accountable under international law.
Right. I mean, I would say that, you know, Hamas was, they've been accused of war crimes for sure, as has the Israeli government. And I don't defend like any war crimes, but they have been the government of Gaza. Of course, no one pays attention to this. I'm not talking about you, but it's insane to me that they've said time and time again that they were willing to give up governing. It was actually Israel that didn't want them to do that. But I do think there's a double standard. And I hope that, you know, that there is, you know, we also don't arm Hamas, right? So that's the other issue, is that I think that our response to Israel and to Hamas should be different, given that we are arming one side and not the other. And we constantly talk about how they're our allies. But anyway, so I think that, you know, you and I obviously agree on certain things, disagree on other things, but I am grateful that you take the time to come on shows. And you are often credited with this, for coming on shows where you disagree. And when are you going to announce your presidential run?
I've been listening for 6 years to all of these independent left media channels kissing Ro's ass Thank you for coming on the show. Oh my God, you're the only one who's come on the show. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Even though we don't agree on it. Thank you for coming. Do you think he's doing it out of the kindness of his heart? Because he believes in democracy? Because he believes in a free press, a robust discussion? Truly, are you that naive? All of you in the independent media space. Come on. He's not doing you a favor. It was very clear that, especially during the Biden administration, Khanna has been deputized or appointed himself to be the point person that goes on the Young Turks, Broken Points, all of the podcasts, because he is a media whore. He appointed himself to be the person that does all of these press interviews on the independent quote-unquote left. Why? Because he already has a pre-existing friendship with Ryan Grimm, with Crystal Ball. So he said, I'll do it. Don't worry, Ilhan Omar. Don't worry, AOC. Don't worry, Pramila Jayapal. You don't have to get your hands dirty. You don't have to go on these stupid podcasts or independent left shows, the rowdy lefty internet. I'll do it. I'm happy to. I love a camera. Is there a camera here in this room? I want to see it. So this idea that he's doing it out of like some altruistic sense of duty is, and the fact that they keep complimenting him over this when none of his policies are where lefty voters are, or even independent voters or any voters. I don't know who this segment was for. It's definitely not for Katie's audience. But like, stop complimenting him. He's complicit in genocide. Is genocide just a buzzword to these people? Or do they actually take it seriously? Because Roe was there. Roe supported the genocide. And now he's trying to triangulate it into something that would help make him president, or at least not poll 1% over and over and over again, so that maybe someone will pick him to be vice president like Kamala, which is also not going to happen, Khanna. Just letting you know. Spoiler alert. I'm just it's honestly shameful that people keep thanking him when he's literally going on there to try to like sell snake oil to your audience. He's not your friend. But I do appreciate you stalling for time as much as you can so that he will pee himself from the river to the so he creates his own river and his own sea. Honestly, I want him to poop his pants as well. Go number 1, go number 2. Fuck it. Unleash. Unleash it all.
Well, we'll see. We'll make a decision after Thanksgiving. But you know what I often say is I say the same thing whether I go on a conservative podcast or a left podcast. I say what I believe. Now, sometimes I refine it. I change my mind, but I don't try to pander.
Oh yeah, sure you don't. Fucking idiot. Okay, so let me show you this article from our favorite tabloid, our favorite right-wing tabloid. Look at the title. So funny. The war to succeed Bernie Sanders is already underway. Walking into Democrats' contentious Michigan Senate primary, Sanders' inner circle thinks Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is more likely than Khanna to be the heir. Oh no, Roe must be pissed. Oh, we know Roe didn't like this. When was it published? August 4th, so 2 days ago. The battle to become the country's next progressive leader in the mold of Bernie Sanders is heating up ahead of Democrats' direction-defining Michigan Senate primary. Nowhere is the jockeying and strategy unfolding behind the scenes more pronounced than between Democratic representatives AOC and Khanna of California, who have taken disparate approaches to the midterms as they build out their political brands. Khanna's go everywhere media whore mentality versus AOC's more selective involvement in key races this cycle will test their political acumen and relationships, potentially setting them up for a 2028 presidential race that could decide who will inherit the movement. In much of Sanders' inner circle, who comes next is pretty obvious, even as the wider progressive movement continues to clash over the answer. It's always been clear that AOC is the hare, one person close to Sanders, who's been involved in such conversations with him for years, granted anonymity to share their understanding of their private discussions. Always. So we're saying here that at least from the point of view of Bernie Sanders, who I'm sure signed off on whoever is leaking this to be able to leak this, Sanders has picked AOC to be the successor to the progressive movement, which is so fucking funny. For AOC to think, oh, Bernie just anointed me. So Bernie people definitely are going to vote for me for president. Go for it. Go for it, Sandy. Run for president next year. Don't wait. Do it. Do it. As I already shared, I want her to do it so I can watch that car accident in real time. Because there's no way in hell she wins a single state. I'm telling you, she can raise all the money in the world like Kamala. She's going to lose all 50 states, in my opinion. I can't see one single state, or one state, from the river to the sea, that AOC could win. I genuinely can't. I don't know. Do you agree with me, guys? From Fascism Watch here. Yeah, liberal Zionism, they make money by scamming the liberation movement. More reasons to adopt anti-Zionism, Nuremberg-type trial and reparations as a litmus test. Must be and you see Ro Khanna tried to sort of, he thought to himself, okay, so I don't support an arms embargo. What kind of a carrot am I going to throw at these idiot leftists? Oh yeah, I'm just going to say that Netanyahu is a war criminal and he should be arrested. He triangulated it to that. He still doesn't support an arms embargo, but he will say he theoretically, rhetorically, supports Netanyahu's arrest. What is he going to do to get him there? Nothing. Nothing. Nothing at all. From Fascism Watch. AOC, the next Kamala. Brad Mania coming soon. Oh my God. Do you remember Brad Summer? I think Amy Klobuchar said something like, we need to have a bus that says, Brad Summer is here, with a picture of Bernie and a picture of Kamala. And she really, when she said it out loud, and she really thought that was going to sell young people. They're like, oh my God, there's a bus. There's a bus and I see an ad that says Brad Summer. Fuck. I just came all over myself from excitement. I'm so excited. I'm so fucking excited. Like AOC, I think, has really tried to protect herself from any kind of criticism, so much so that she created her own insular little bubble surrounded by white, male, straight sycophants who tell her she's a princess, she's amazing, she's a star, you're a star. Look what Politico said about you. You're a star. And I think the gap between reality and what she thinks is reality is going to be hilarious to watch unfold. Hilarious. I think she knows I mean, like I said, a sitting House member hasn't won the presidency since the 1800s. So she knows. She has Google. She knows that there's no way in hell she's going to become president. If she runs for president, it's only so that the actual nominee, like Kamala Harris, brat, friend of the show, an actual brat, not like brat in a positive sense. She wants to be picked as vice president. AOC, I mean. She'll tell Kamala, oh, look, I am the progressive lefty. I'm going to bring you all of the young people into the campaign, 2 women running on a ticket. I'm going to, AOC, I'm going to bring all the young people. And then when that ticket loses every state, AOC can say, oh, I wasn't the reason she lost. I was just the vice president. You know what I mean? From the right and left trousers, Robert Reich doing that little apple dance will never leave my... Oh my God, did he really do that? Fuck, I have to look that up. I have to look that up. Okay, I'll do that later. That would be our... Thank you, the right and left trousers. That would be our nervous regulations segment. Robert Reich doing the apple dance? Oh my God. That is so fucking amazing. Thank you. You know, sometimes you find what you don't get what you want, but you find what you need. And I need to see Robert Reich doing the apple dance. Ay. So there was one other paragraph, I think, here that I wanted to show you guys. Just so you get an extent of the delusion of grandeur that Ro Khanna is under. Yet within the broader Sanders coalition, there is plenty behind-the-scenes posturing and outright bickering, personal and nasty, over who will ultimately take over for the Vermont senator. Khanna's allies say Ocasio-Cortez is playing it too safe to be the next standard bearer, with some prominent left-wing leaders irked by her sparing endorsement strategy. Okay, let's see here. So then it talks about why Bernie sees AOC as as a heir to his quote-unquote movement. Roe is basically already running, but not many are taking him too seriously as the movement's next leader, said another operative close to Sanders, granted anonymity to speak candidly. So you see now why Ro Khanna is throwing himself into the Katie Halper show, to all of these independent outlets, why he's trying to sort of unsuccessfully do outreach to the left. He really wants to be the standard bearer. Bum, bum, bum. This one talks about Bernie and AOC's relationship and coordinating endorsements and all that bullshit. That's not interesting. Blah, blah, blah. Jeff Weaver here, friend of the show, former Bernie Sanders campaign manager from 2016. He is apparently on Team Khanna's side. Do with that what you will. Blah, blah, blah. Some more bickering. Oh my God, Cenk Uygur is here giving a quote. Who cares about your... So this is criticizing AOC for not endorsing more Democratic Party candidates or primary challengers. Cenk here says, who cares about your win-loss ratio? What I care about is, are you trying to help fellow progressives or aren't you? Said Cenk Uygur, a Khanna supporter who founded the progressive online network, The Young Turks and Justice Democrats. AOC cares so much about her colleagues, and her colleagues are establishment Democrats. I don't care about them. In fact, I'm opposed to them. I want them challenged in primaries. Well, Cenk, I have some bad news. Ro Khanna is also establishment. And also, AOC is also establishment. If you've been in the House for 8 years, you're establishment. Okay, there we go. Khanna has spent years trying to build the kind of early state infrastructure a presidential campaign requires, traveling to early primary and battleground states to lay the organizational groundwork for a potential run. Since 2021, he has been working to assemble steering committees of 75 to 100 people in New Hampshire and Nevada, with another being built in South Carolina, while working with local political power players, according to Shannon Jackson, another longtime Sanders operative who is now consulting for Khanna. So Ro fucking Khanna has been planning this for 5 years. Steering committees. 75 between 100 people of steering committees to help himself run for president. He is delusional. He's truly delusional. It would be so fucking funny to see that campaign rise from the ground and flopping right back. I'm telling you, it's going to be so fucking funny. I don't usually say this, but this would actually be hilarious. There has never been a poll that showed Ro Khanna anywhere near 5%. I'm pretty sure Cenk Uygur himself polled higher than Ro Khanna ever has. Ro Khanna has a unique ability to be repulsive, so repulsive, that no one ever cares about him, no matter how many media appearances he does, no matter how many times he shows up at your house, because there's a camera there. People are still like, no, I don't want to vote for Ro Khanna for president, no matter how many times you ask me. No, the answer is fucking no. They would pick Buttigieg over Ro Khanna, and Buttigieg is never going to be president. I love this. I never thought there would be someone more unappealing to black voters than Pete Buttigieg, but there is. It's Ro Khanna. And he thinks he's going to be president. He's been planning it since 2021. I'd love to see it. Anyway, so now you know. Now you know. What our favorite tabloid Politico said. From the right and left trousers here, Kamala still has a higher chance of becoming president than Ro. I love that you're putting it like that, because it's like, it's so funny from the Kamala perspective, but also from the Ro Khanna perspective. It's like losers, but on two different planes. Total losers. Imagine, so who do we think the primary is gonna have? Just for shits and giggles. It might be Kamala. Probably gonna be Kamala. Definitely Josh Shapiro. We know he's been talking to fundraisers and bundlers. We know Platitude Pete already reserved himself a spot. Another narcissist who won't take no for an answer. It doesn't matter how many times we tell Pete, no, 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 no. He's like, you might change your mind in 4 years. No, not happening. From Kime here, Kamala, as a presidential candidate, is DOA. I know. That's why I want to watch it. You know, it's funny. There's an article that talked about how the Kamala Harris campaign actually raised $1 billion. And I did like a monologue about it, about how my theory really is that she never really was trying to win votes. Because if she was trying to win votes, actual votes from swing states, she would have supported, even paid fake lip service to an arms embargo. That's how you win votes, right? She didn't win votes, but she raised $1 billion. So my theory is that really it's not about how many votes you win, it's about how much money you raise. It's a scam. It's a scam. So she wanted to raise money. She knew she was going to lose. But it was all about, how do I raise the most money from Democratic Party donors? Committing to an arms embargo means they don't want to donate to you anymore. So you can't go for that, even if that gets you votes. So I really think it's kind of a scam in terms of who can fundraise the most, and that's the priority, and then winning is always second to that. From the right and left trousers here, there's oh, what a scary nominee. The American Psycho, Gruesome Newsome. 1000%. Thank you for reminding us. He's definitely going to be there. We should all be mentally prepared for that. Oh, my Lord. From Kime here, that Ossoff guy probably, but it's still too early to say. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. Oh, good God. From Kime here, there's also an article out there on the ridiculous amounts of money from that $1 billion that went to, quote, consultants and the leadership in the uncommitted movement. It's all a scam. It's all a scam, in my opinion, allegedly. Allegedly. Because I hate to keep having to make this point, but like, why not do what Trump did? Why didn't Kamala do what Trump did, which is fake promise, peace, promise an arms embargo, and then you win, and then you do what every president does and renege on it. Who cares? If you're trying to win, why not lie? I don't think she wanted to win. I think she knew there was no chance in hell, as you said, for her to actually win. So the priority became, how do we convince people that we have a shot so that we can raise money from them? Because, you know, one of the things you have to sell when you're running for president is the possibility that you could actually get elected. Otherwise, people don't want to donate to you. You have to pretend like you have a shot. That's kind of like the whole performance. You have to pretend like you can win. And then you raise the money, and then you give that money to your friends, to your family, to consultants, to your babies, to strangers on the, no, never, they don't donate it to strangers. You know, that's how the racket works. It's all about the money. Right, Ryan?
CEO.
This is false,
But
false,
no,
false,
it's not false.
Wow, Ryan, you have a really strong objection to that. I think we know what that means. It means it's true. All right, guys. I wanted to share also this clip of Khanna when he was still the Biden campaign surrogate for 2024. And they asked him about the uncommitted movement. And he said that they should vote for Biden, even though he was responsible for the genocide of their families. Khanna put himself out there on TV with a fake-ass smile and probably a little bit of filler to say, yes, those victims, those family members of people who have gone through genocide should still vote for Genocide Joe, because at least he's gonna listen. Trump is not gonna listen. At least Joe Biden will listen. Soulless piece of shit. Fuck you, Khanna. Fuck you.
First of all, Congressman, welcome this morning, but I also want to ask you why you voted against it. I know you said First Amendment concerns.
Martha, look, there are two national security issues the proponents of the bill have cited. Both are legitimate. One, will the data get to a foreign government, in this case, the Chinese Communist Party? Two, will the Chinese Communist Party have an influence on algorithms? We can deal with both with a narrowly tailored law. Let's ban any data going to a foreign country and protect American data. Second, let's ban any foreign interference in a social media app, whether that's TikTok or another app. And by the way, those laws would also cover data brokers, which are selling data to Chinese companies. So this bill is not actually addressing the issue. 71% of Americans want to protect data privacy. Only 31% want to ban on TikTok. Congress, A, doesn't understand, in my view, all of the social media and how it's working, and B, is out of touch with what the American people want.
How do you do that? Get more specific about what you say, banning. What does that all mean, and how does that work? We don't always know what's going over there or what's being taken.
Well, I think some of the facts would be helpful. So TikTok is owned by ByteDance. ByteDance is a Chinese company. It has 60% international investors, including KKR and General Atlantic. 3 of the 5 board members are Americans. They have data that currently Oracle is managing in Texas. As you mentioned earlier to Congressman Turner, there have been reports in some cases that data has leaked and had access to people in China. No evidence publicly that the Chinese Communist Party has had it, but there has been evidence that they could have it in Chinese nationals. So pass a law, one, to prevent these apps, whether it's TikTok or Facebook or YouTube, for collecting data. That bill has been sitting in the House Commerce Committee for years, and it doesn't move. Second, pass a law that if there's any evidence that the data goes to China, then Oracle and TikTok would be held liable, civilly or criminally. third, pass a law that if Chinese nationals are involved in the algorithms, people are claiming these algorithms are manipulating Americans. If there's any information inside
those, I mean, if ByteDance the best, the app could
have to have the least restrictive approach when you have a compelling speech with a group on TikTok. Now, you asked Congressman Turner, well, those members of Congress haven't talked to the
Sorry, guys, I was fast forwarding through the TikTok segment.
audience and say, okay, you can just have people go onto a different app, but I certainly don't think it's least restrictive. And the point is, there's no evidence right now. You'd have to have a compelling interest to a foreign country and get that done. It was. I mean, it took 3 days to pass a district, or near my district was Facebook. We aren't tackling those issues, and then we've just passed this blanket TikTok.
Congressman, this passed overwhelmingly. Your other you voted against it. I know you said First Amendment concerns.
Oh my Lord, they really wanna. Oh my Lord. Okay.
Information to China. This law does nothing to them. It does nothing in terms of. And now, one of the concerns that people were citing is, well, there's a lot of folks who have pro-Palestine viewpoints on TikTok. Well, they're pro-Palestine viewpoints on Instagram and Facebook, and all it takes is to go to a college campus and realize that that demographic has more sympathy to the innocent loss of life in Gaza. I'm not saying they're right. That doesn't mean that that's evidence of manipulation.
Briefly, because of course you are campaigning for Biden and Harris. We've seen a significant.
Okay, here we go. We finally found it. But I want to read your comments about the TikTok because I think that they're actually very interesting. From Kime here, I forget that shitlibs are so xenophobic. They still marginalize China gross, and it's always in service of whatever bullshit they're trying to, because they hated TikTok because, TikTok gave working class people, regular ass people, a platform to say what was on their minds, to be critical of the American government. That's what they hated. It had nothing to do with China. We all know that, because we have all of these other apps that steal our data nonstop, like, Instagram, Facebook, all of them. But yeah, so they use xenophobia to sort of push their agenda through. And from Fascism Watch here, yeah, China is their scapegoat, from their right and left trousers, because it counts as data privacy when it's companies and government agencies in your own country, which are harvesting and storing your data. 100%. 100%. While in China, TikTok is like national AG, National Geographic. Oh, right. Yeah, it's like very sciencey, very mathematical. They have all kinds of like learning stuff. From Kime here, insert I can tolerate my own country stealing my data, but I draw the line at China meme here. LOL. From Fascism Watch, China is a surveillance state, but nothing compared to Israel, USA. I think that's the key, because we had Edward Snowden reveal through the prison program how much we were all being spied upon. So this idea, I mean, they really sort of project all of the things that the United States does onto other countries, and then they tell you that that's why they're bad. They do this with Iran too, and they used to do it with Iraq. The surveillance is coming from inside the house. And it's worth remembering, Joe Biden was the one that signed the TikTok ban. I'm sure Democrats coordinated their votes. So just enough voted against it who were allowed to vote against it, while knowing it was going to pass and they weren't going to throw up their hands and throw a fuss. They let it happen. They let it happen. I think it was a bigger deal for people, the fact that Joe Biden signed the TikTok ban. In terms of depressing turnout for Democrats, I'm sure that played a role. We'll never find out because there aren't any pollsters interested in that question. But I think the fact that more than half of Americans, all Americans, are on TikTok, and Democrats signed a bill to ban it, it really shows you that popular will or public will doesn't determine policy, doesn't write policy. Corporations do. And who was TikTok a threat to? Competition. Meta. Meta was, and YouTube. That's why they copied TikTok into like their own versions of Reels or YouTube Shorts, which are literally just Temu TikTok, or TikTok from Temu or whatever. Like an off-brand version of TikTok. I don't get into YouTube Shorts. I know some people apparently love it, so I try to post on there sometimes, but like I don't love it. From the right and left trousers, I read that the anti-TikTok thing really got legs in the bureaucracy when soldiers started posting about how much being in the military sucks. Oh my God. That would make so much sense in terms of contributing to the drop off in recruitment numbers, 100%. Because then these pieces of shit in Congress are like, who's going to be our foot soldiers to like, steal all the natural resources that make us rich? What are we going to do? We need cannon fodder for imperialism. Oh no, it's a national security threat that people are talking about, how much they hate killing people. No, no, no. We have to blame China. Blame China for that. From Fascism Watch, TikTok have a lot of young people expressing themselves freely, and they hate that. And me, neoliberal tears. Also, remember in 2020, Andrew Yang had an amazing idea of privatizing individual data and making companies pay you if they collect it. It was part of the way he would provide a UBI for every person. I do remember some version of that. It kind of sucks what happened to Andrew Yang, right? Like, it's so sad. It's so sad. Yeah, but I do remember that idea. The Privacy Bill of Rights. Good idea. He just never talked about it again after the after the presidential race. One of the few times I appreciated Yang. Same. And also from Kime. Kime loves YouTube Shorts. I don't have the Tic Tacs. Okay. I'm glad you're enjoying it. That's the most important thing. But it's very similar to TikTok, right? So you can see that like they really have no issue with data privacy when it's YouTube or Meta collecting your data. It's only when they can't monetize it effectively to their own ends, which now they can. So congratulations. From the right and left trousers, exactly. That's what they were really worried about. And then the Gaza genocide sealed the deal, 100%. I think Palestine really had to have factored in. It was a huge reason. Because what politicians want more than anything, that's why they go on CNN and MSNBC, they want to control the discourse. It's so important to them. And we're finally seeing, sort of for the first time, because so many people distrust mainstream news outlets, I know it's a cliche to say, we're finally seeing sort of the rise of, I guess, even like infiltrated left channels or fake left channels, or like Brian Tyler Cohen, whoever the fuck, that DNC operative who pretends he's independent. We're seeing a lot of people try to sort of recapture people's trust through these the same mediums, but by the same sort of corporate structures who are responsible for people losing their trust in the first place. So yeah, very interesting. I do think there's some sort of like arrangement. I can't prove this, but like, because even someone like David Pakman, who pretends he's independent, he posted a video of like him with Joe Biden after Kamala lost and everything. They were invited to the White House to sort of, so there are connections there between people who present themselves as independent and the state. they just don't disclose it, which I think is really nasty. But let's get back here to this. Thank God it's only 50 seconds long. I cannot take more Khanna lying. Not tonight. Let's hear him tell the uncommitted movement why they should vote for Genocide Joe.
Scare of primary voters back uncommitted over President Biden supporting Israel in the war on Gaza. What do you say to them?
I say, first of all, Hamas committed a brutal terrorist attack on October 7th. The UN found evidence that there was rape and sexual assault. We need to unambiguously condemn that October 7th attack. And then I say that President Biden now and his team are shifting and understanding that Netanyahu's policies have not been in the interests of protecting civilian life, that too many innocent civilians have died, and he has finally called for a ceasefire with the release of hostages, and they're being heard. Now, it's obvious that I have had disagreements with President Biden on this, but here's what I know. At least he's listening. Donald Trump wouldn't listen.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We much.
At least he's listening. I've had disagreements with Genocide Joe. I'm still his media media surrogate. Look at me smiling. I go wherever they tell me. I'll defend him to death. But at least he'll listen. So you lost family members in the Gaza Holocaust, but don't worry, Genocide Joe is going to listen to you. He's going to listen. He's not going to do anything for you. He's not going to even, call your family, in the case of Aizen Noreji, an American citizen who was killed in the West Bank under Biden. But at least he'll listen. At least he'll listen. Well, we're not listening to you, Khanna. Right, Ryan? You're not a fan of Ro, are you?
CEO.
This is false,
But
false,
no,
false,
it's not
false.
I bet it's so hard to be Ryan Grimm right now. You have your little princess AOC trying to maybe potentially declare a doomed presidential run against your other friend, Khanna. He's right in the middle. Oh no. And both of them are gonna lose. Sucks to be Ryan. I think it's time for a little bit of nervous system regulation. Thank you for the right and left trousers for flagging this for us. I think I'm gonna love this. I already know I will. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is Robert Reich. Was he Bill Clinton's secretary of something? Maybe labor? Guys, let me know in the chat. I think he was, right? And now he's mostly just like an elder Twitter personality. I think labor, okay. From the right and left trousers, Ryan could use a little friend that comes out from underneath his toupee and says false, false, false with him. That would be so fucking cute. Like a little Twitty, you know? Like Tweety the bird. Also, I saw a comment there from one of you guys that talked about Martha Raddatz kind of looking like a human bird, like a human version of a bird, and I agree with it completely. I think there's something to it. We might have to reassess how evolution came to be. We might have been evolved from birds, or at least Martha. So let's see if Robert Reich here dancing for Kamala. Let's make voting, and this says here, let's make voting brat this year. Oh my God. This is levels of cringe I don't think we've heard of before. This is outstanding. This is this is innovating cringe, taking cringe to whole other levels. Let's watch it together. Let's see the dance. Let's dance. I think the apple's rotten right to the core. From all the things was down, from all the apples coming before. I spent the apple down symmetrical lines. I want to find that's kind of scary. Makes me just Oh my God. I was gonna say it almost looked like AI at first, but then I realized no, he's looking at somebody doing the moves and trying to copy them. Kind of like when old people go to water aerobics and they try to like do the movements, or they look at the guide and they sort of try to copy. Oh my God, this is so crazy. This is so crazy. Wow. It's almost kind of cute. But like, it's a perfect encapsulation of why Democrats are so, so out of touch. Oh my God. Thank you for that, the right and left trousers. Thank you for spoiling us with this. I feel blessed. Blessed by the Reich. Hume here says, if I was ever unsure I should not be on TikTok, this video solidified it for me. Oh my God. Oh my God. From the right and left trousers, another throwback is a 90s video where a reporter asks a young Kamala if she's Willie Brown's daughter. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. Wow. I can't believe there's so much that I didn't know. The world is so massive. So much history. Oh my God. And they were in a relationship from 1994 to 1995 when Brown was 60 and Harris was 69. Wow. Oh, 60 and 29. Wow. Oh my God, guys. Did you know this? You must have, right? Oh my God. Guys, are you ready for this? Let's play this. Oh my God. Sorry, I keep saying oh my God. Oh my God. Here's Kamala Harris, friend of the show. Genocide complicit. Friend of the show. Being asked if she's Willie Brown's daughter, who she dated. 30 years old, her senior. An elderly mayor she was dating at the time. Wow.
Thank you. Good luck, brother. All right. You got my vote. All right. See you later. 8 out of the 10 voters I meet are absolutely persuaded that I know what I'm doing, that I'm pretty smart, that I can get the job done, and that I may be a rogue, but I'm their kind of rogue.
He's a rogue, all right, notorious for his flamboyant lifestyle. Flashy clothes, fancy parties, fine women,
Are you his daughter?
No, I'm not.
and fast cars.
Wow. You could tell at first she was like stone cold. Stone cold. Like that's the face. Wow. Wow. One more time.
Are you his daughter?
No, I'm not.
And fast cars.
I think we saw a glimpse there of the infamous Kamala smile when she's really super nervous and doesn't like the question. It's like, no, I'm not. Ay, ay, ay. Thank you for the education, the right and left trousers. I'm gonna be thinking about it tonight. Wow. Like, that's a massive age gap. I'm sorry, like 31 years. That's huge. That's like that's a whole person. That's an adult between you and him. I don't want to make judgments on relationships, you know. If you're of age, whatever. But oh my God, 31 years? That's a gap. That's a gap. That's a gap. Well, I hope I hope that made you laugh. I hope that made you think. I hope maybe is he still around? Is he still definitely he can't be alive now, right? He's too old. I was gonna say maybe Kamala wants to run with him as her vice president. I mean, she already like kind of I mean, she played kind of like as the younger counterpart to Joe Biden. She's used to dealing with older people or people with dementia. Maybe she's, you know, she'd be great working in a nursing home, helping the elderly. That's what I think she should do. She should just volunteer her time to help it. She clearly loves being with older politicians. She should find an avenue that allows her to do that without ruining our lives. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Thank you for being with me, guys. Thank you for everything. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for being so funny. I love you. Truly. Unless you're Ryan Grimm, you are very much loved by this channel. And as always, I'll see you tomorrow. Yes, even though it's a Friday night, I'm gonna be here because I have no life. I'm kidding. I have a life. I have my cats are my life. So that's why I stay home at night. I'm a homebody. So I'll be here. If there are any news that you'd like me to talk about, or blast from the past, like Kamala having to answer if she's the daughter of the person she's dating, let me know. I'd love to play them. Let me know. And we can play them together. Good night, everybody. Thank you again, and free Palestine from the river to the sea.